I still remember the exact way he said it. Not angry, not rushed, not even careless. He smiled in front of the entire investor delegation, adjusted his expensive watch, and said, "Don't worry about her. She's just support staff." The room went quiet for half a second. Then everyone moved on. The investors looked past me. The board members looked through me. And my CEO, Martin Vale, continued presenting the company I had spent 7 years quietly building from the inside out. I stood near the back wall with a folder in my hands. Inside that folder was the one thing Martin didn't know still existed: the original ownership trail. 7 years earlier, the company had no glass office, no investors, no global press, and no billion-dollar valuation. It was just 4 people in a rented workspace above a dental clinic. Martin had the confidence. I had the system. He could talk. I could build. The company was called Nexora Systems, and the idea was simple: software that helped hospitals predict supply shortages before they became emergencies. Martin called it his vision, but the first prototype was built on my laptop. The first hospital pilot was arranged through my contacts. The first technical documents were written by me at 2 a.m. while Martin slept. Back then, he called me indispensable. That changed when the money arrived. My job title was Operations Support Coordinator. That title became my cage. Whenever something broke, they called me. When a hospital client threatened to cancel, they called me. When the software crashed during a demo, they called me. When invoices vanished, data failed, passwords locked, contracts stalled, servers overheated, or investors asked questions nobody else understood, they called me. But when cameras entered the building, I disappeared. Martin stood in front. I stood behind the screen. He collected applause for systems he couldn't operate. I fixed the system before anyone noticed it had failed. And for years, I told myself that results mattered more than recognition. I was wrong. The first real warning came after our Series B funding round, $75 million, champagne in the boardroom, a press release calling Martin the architect of Nexora's groundbreaking platform. I read that sentence 3 times. Architect, my word. My diagrams, my platform. I went to Martin's office and asked why my name wasn't mentioned. He didn't even look up from his phone. Investors don't care about internal people, Lena. I said, internal people built this. He smiled. That's why you have job security. That was the first time I understood something painful. He didn't see loyalty, he saw convenience. Nexora's platform looked simple from the outside. Hospitals uploaded inventory data. The software predicted shortages. Executives saw dashboards. Everyone clapped. But underneath that clean interface was a hidden disaster prevention engine I had built after our first pilot almost failed. I called it the continuity layer. It corrected bad data, rerouted broken feeds, detected fake supplier numbers, and prevented hospitals from making dangerous purchasing decisions. Martin hated technical names, so he renamed it Adaptive Intelligence and told investors it was his proprietary strategy. There was one problem. He never understood how it worked. No one did. Because the original continuity layer still carried my signature in every protected file. Not my visible name, my legal authorship key. After we passed 200 employees, I asked for a proper title. Not founder, not executive, just Director of Operations Architecture, a title that reflected what I actually did. Martin leaned back in his chair and sighed like I had asked for his house. Lena, you're excellent where you are. I said, I built the operational system. He said, you supported the build. That word, supported, it followed me everywhere. Support staff, support function, support role, support cost. But every department depended on processes I had designed. Every hospital contract relied on safeguards I had written. Every investor update included numbers generated from systems I maintained. I was not supporting the company, I was holding it upright. Then came Investor Week, a new funding round, a possible valuation of $1.2 billion. Martin wanted everything perfect. The office was redesigned, employees were coached, screens were polished. Even the coffee cups were replaced with branded porcelain. For 3 days, investors from London, Singapore, Dubai, and New York toured the company. Martin rehearsed one sentence more than any other. Nexora succeeds because of executive vision. Every time he said it, his eyes moved away from me. I knew what he was doing. He was preparing to erase me completely, not fire me yet. That would be too obvious. First, he had to make me invisible. On the final day, Martin led the investors into the main operations floor. I was asked to stand near the demo station in case something went wrong. Something always went wrong. One investor, a sharp woman named Evelyn Cross, noticed me. She pointed at the live dashboard and asked, "Who designed the emergency correction protocol?" Martin answered quickly. "My executive team developed that." Evelyn looked at me. "She seems to know the system." Martin laughed softly. "Lena. She's been with us a long time, but she's just support staff." A few people smiled politely. My face stayed calm, but inside, something very old finally broke. 10 minutes later, the live demo began. Martin clicked through slides about innovation, leadership, and scalable intelligence. Then he opened the real-time hospital dashboard. For 6 seconds, everything looked perfect. Then 3 red alerts appeared. Data mismatch. Supplier conflict. Continuity override required. Martin froze. He clicked again. More alerts appeared. The investors leaned forward. The CTO whispered, "Lena." I stepped toward the keyboard. Martin blocked me with one hand. "Not now," he hissed. Then he smiled at the investors and said, "This is normal diagnostic behavior." It wasn't. The system was asking for the one authorization Martin didn't have. Mine. Evelyn Cross stood up. "What exactly is the continuity layer?" Martin blinked. The CTO looked down. The CFO suddenly became very interested in his shoes. Martin said, "It's our internal risk management module." Evelyn asked, "Who authored it?" Martin forced a smile. The system interrupted him. A new message appeared across the screen. "Authorship verification required." The room went completely silent. Then, below it appeared one line. "Primary architecture key assigned to Lena Marrow." My name filled the screen. For the first time in 7 years, nobody looked past me. Martin turned slowly. His face changed before his words did. "Lena," he said quietly, "fix this." The other investors sat back down. Martin's smile vanished. I opened the folder. Inside were time-stamped design documents, original hospital pilot agreements, and the first version of the continuity layer license. The other investors sat back down. Martin's smile vanished. I opened the folder. Inside were time-stamped design documents, original hospital pilot agreements, and the first version of the continuity layer license. Every page carried my authorship. Every date came before Martin's investor claims. Every signature told the same story. He had not built the company, he had built a stage around my work. There was one document Martin had forgotten, the foundational systems agreement. We signed it in the early days. It stated that any core infrastructure would remain controlled by the original author. Martin had promised we would clean it up later. Later never came. Evelyn read the final paragraph twice. Then she looked at Martin and said, "You don't own your own platform." Martin laughed. It was a terrible laugh. Too loud, too empty. "Of course we own it," he said. "This is just administrative confusion." I said nothing. That made it worse. The general counsel was called in. Then outside counsel joined by video. Then the board chair arrived without his jacket. For 30 minutes, everyone asked the same question in different ways. Was my work formally purchased? Was my authorship assigned? The answers arrived one by one. No, 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 and absolutely not. Then Evelyn asked the question that changed everything. "Why did this verification message appear today?" Martin looked at me. So did everyone else. I answered calmly. "Because Martin attempted to move the platform into a new holding company last night." Martin said, "That is confidential." I said, "It is also unauthorized." I placed another document on the table, a system alert from 2:13 a.m. Martin had tried to transfer the platform's operational assets. My authorship key stopped it automatically. The investors no longer looked confused. They looked angry. Evelyn asked Martin, "Were you moving assets before disclosure?" He said, "It was restructuring." The board chair whispered, "Martin." Martin looked around the room and realized something terrifying. Power only works while people believe you control the truth, and his truth had just failed in public. Evelyn asked me one final question. "Lena, what is your current role here?" I looked at Martin. Then I looked at the investors. "My title is Operations Support Coordinator. But I designed the hospital onboarding system. I wrote the emergency correction logic. I built the continuity layer. I have maintained the infrastructure that supports every active client contract." No one interrupted me, not once. For the first time, the room heard the full version, not Martin's version, mine. And when I finished, Evelyn closed the folder and said, "This company has been misrepresented." 2 hours later, Martin was removed from the investor presentation. By evening, an emergency board meeting was called. I was not invited. Then Evelyn refused to continue unless I was present. I walked into the same boardroom where I had once served coffee. This time, nobody asked me for coffee. Martin sat at the far end of the table, pale and furious. "You don't even have authorization to access the system." The next morning, the investment did not collapse. It paused. A new proposal was drafted. Correct the ownership record. Remove Martin from operational control. Create a formal executive role for me. Martin refused to sign for exactly 26 minutes. Then legal showed him the consequences. He signed. His hand shook when he reached the last page. Mine didn't. After the board meeting, Martin found me in the empty hallway. No cameras, no investors, no applause. He said, "You destroyed me." I shook my head. "No, I documented what you built your career on. You'll regret this." I looked through the glass wall at the operations floor. People were still working. Hospitals were still connected. The company was still alive. "No," I said, "you will." 3 weeks later, the office looked the same from the outside. Same glass walls, same skyline view, but inside, everything had changed. Martin's portrait disappeared from the entrance wall. My new title appeared on the company website, Chief Infrastructure Officer. Below it, one sentence, founder of Nexora's continuity platform. I stared at those words longer than I expected. The CEO said I was just support staff. Then investors found out the truth. I didn't support the company. I built the part of it that survived him.
Select now another video in our series of family and company dramas. They are all powerful stories of people coming back stronger after they have been humiliated or hurt by family members or their management. Always make sure you stay strong. Let nobody ever tell you what you are worth. You know the best. Of course.